For today, I'm going to be looking at questions 33 through 38, looking at geometric sequences, right? When I multiply the same thing over and over. So doing multiplication. I'm going to be dealing with, like I said, questions 33 through 38 from our notes. So let's take a look at question number 33. 33 and 34, I'm asking for the explicit formula. First thing we got to do before I work this out, I got to find out what's the number that I keep on multiplying in order for me to get the next number, right? We call that the common ratio. So let me use R for ratio. I need to find the ratio in order for me to be answered the explicit formula. The way I'm going to find out the ratio, I'm going to choose a number from the list, and I'm going to divide it by the previous number. For example, I can go negative 16 divided by 4. I could choose any number divided by the previous number. I know negative divided by positive is negative. So all right, my ratio is negative. 16 divided by 4 is 4. My ratio is a negative 4. Now for my explicit formula, I'm ready to go. For my explicit formula, let's zoom in here. The way I'm going to write this, first of all, let me write my first number on the list. All right, we can see my list here. The first number is 4. Now I'm going to multiply this. The ratio is a negative 4, right? So I'm going to, because of the negative, let me do, there's my ratio. So the positive 4 is the first number on the list. The number inside the parentheses is a negative 4. And I'm going to say that I need to multiply this. My ratio is a negative 4. But when I multiply ratio, when I multiply the same thing over and over, remember when I go ratio times ratio times ratio times ratio, didn't we learn back in the days that when you multiply the same thing over and over and over, multiplication, we're going to represent that as an exponent. So because I keep on multiplying the same thing, I'm going to say I'm going to multiply the ratio, and now using exponent, I'm going to use n minus 1 time. What I mean with the n minus 1 is if I want to find out which one's the 97th number on the list, I'm going to multiply my ratio 96 times, 1 less. And the reason why is 1 less, because we start multiplying once we get the second number. That's the first multiplication, right? We start multiplying with the second number, so that's why we're going to multiply 1 less. That's it. This is my explicit formula. What I need to remember is the first number is my first number on the list. Inside of the parentheses, I have my ratio. I have parentheses because my ratio is negative. When my ratio is positive, I don't need parentheses. Now, some of you might be wondering, how am I going to type this? I'm going to give it to you as a multiple choice. Right? Choose the correct explicit formula. Let's take a look at question number 34. Let me find out what's the common ratio. I'm going to use R for ratio. And for that, I choose any number from the list divided by the previous number. So I could choose negative 24 divided by 12, right? A number from the list divided by the previous number. In this case, I get that my ratio is negative 2, right? We could have chosen any number divided by the previous number, and you guys would get negative 2. So now that I have the ratio, I'm ready to write my explicit formula. My first number on the list is a 3. So I'm going to write 3 times. My ratio is a negative 2. So I'm going to go negative 2. As an exponent, I'm going to write n minus 1. The explicit formula is easy for us to figure out as soon as we know the first number and the ratio. And the reason why we use it is because it's going to help us find any number on the list. Right? We could do it the long way. We could just write down the list, right? Multiply by negative 2 each time. But what if I ask you for the 47th number on the list? Right? I don't want to write the whole list. Now let's continue. Let's take a look at question number 35 and 36. I'm going to move on my notes here. I'm going to give you 2 random numbers. Sometimes they might be consecutive, right? Consecutive is one right after the other. Sometimes they're not. Now here, I give you the first numbered on the list, the sixth numbered on the list, and I want you to find which one is the ninth number. First thing we gotta do with geometric sequences is find out the ratio. Now, the way I'm gonna do this, let's take a look. Let me zoom in here. Notice I give you the first numbered on the list and the sixth numbered. So based on that, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna need that for me to find out the ratio. The way I'm gonna figure out the first number there, right, on the list is the third number. So the smallest number there is 3. And I know I have to multiply this, my ratio. I'm gonna call it R because I don't know what it is. From first to six, wouldn't I need to multiply my ratio 5 times? Right, because I'm going from the first number to the sixth number. So I go from 3. If I multiply my ratio 5 times, that's gonna give me a negative 96. Okay, so I'm gonna use this for me to find out the ratio. Just kind of like how we learn in Algebra 1. Get the R by itself. So the way I'm gonna cancel that 3, let me divide both sides by a 3. So that gives me that R to the fifth is equal to negative 32. Right? Negative 96 divided by 3 is a negative 32. Now, for me to get the R by itself, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do to undo an exponent, right? Because R to the fifth, I'm gonna do fifth roots. I'm gonna do roots, right? We learned that in Algebra 1, how to do roots. Now, R, if we don't know, we could use a calculator. We're looking for our calculators, and then there's a key on our calculators. There's a key that should look like something like, sometimes they use a Y here and an X here. When calculators use letters like this, what I mean is the order you're gonna put them. So I would put in a negative 32 first, and then the fifth root second. So, or we can just say, okay, which is the number that multiply 5 times by itself gives me negative 32. In this case, I'm going to say my ratio is a negative 2. Right? Negative 2 multiplied by itself 5 times gives me negative 32. Keep in mind, I didn't say negative 2 times 5. I said multiply by itself. So negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Now that I know my ratio, I'm going to be able to find any numbered on the list. The way I'm going to find out the numbered on the list, given 2 numbers, I have the first numbered and the sixth numbered. I'm going to choose the one that is closest to it. I don't have to. I can choose any number from the list, but I'm going to choose the one that is closest to. In this case, is the sixth number on the list. So I'm not going to use the first number. I'm going to use the sixth number. So I'm going to go negative 96, right? That number. I'm going to multiply it by the ratio. I know the ratio is a negative 2 so many times. In this case, I'm going to say I have to multiply the ratio 3 times because I have the sixth number and I'm trying to get the ninth number, right? From 6 to 9. Wouldn't that be 3 times? I got to do exponent first. So negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, that's a negative 8. So I have a negative 96 times a negative 8. Notice I did my exponents first. Right? Order operations, we got to do exponents before we multiply. Negative 96 times a negative 98, times a negative 8. Negative times negative is positive. 96 times 8 gives me 768. You got to find the ratio to begin with. All right, let's take a look at question number 36. In here, I give you the second number and the third number on the list. right? The one that comes first is the second number. So that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to say 9 times the ratio. From the ratio from the second number to the third number, wouldn't that be 1 time? And this gives me a negative 27. Let me divide both sides by 9. Now, r to the 1, isn't that just r? Just then negative 27 divided by 9 is then negative 3. Notice how I gave you two consecutive numbers, right? The second number and the third number on the list. Didn't I say before, for you to find the ratio, choose a number in the list divided by the previous number? Isn't that what we just did? All right, so the ratio is negative 3. Now I can find any number on the list. I want to find out what's the 10th number. So from the two numbers given, I'm going to choose one of them. Let me choose the third number on the list. So for me to find the 10th number, I'm going to go negative 27, which is the third number on the list, times the ratio is a negative 3. Have to use an exponent, all right? From the 3 numbered, I have the third number on the list, and I want to get the 10th numbered on the list. So wouldn't I have to multiply the ratio 7 times, right? From the third to the 7th, I mean to the 10th, wouldn't be 7 times? Make sure you do the exponent first, so negative 3 7 times, right? Negative 3 to the 7th, and the result multiplied by negative 27. It gives me, my answer gives me 59,000. That's a 9, 59,049. That's it. Do expect big numbers, right? Because we're multiplying. So it is okay for us to get a big number. Don't be shy of big numbers. Big numbers are still numbers. Now let's take a look at the last two questions here. Evaluate. All right. Evaluate basically means I want you to add. I want you to add so many numbers. I'm giving you guys the beginning of a list, and I want you to add the first 6 numbers. For number 38, I'm giving you guys the beginning of the list, and I want you to add the first 9 numbers. Now, we're going to be using two formulas. Let me use this space right here. If my ratio, the absolute value of my ratio, so that means ignoring the sign, if my absolute value of my ratio is more than 1, the formula that I'm going to use is the first number on the list. I'm going to multiply this times 1 minus r to the n. Notice I need to know the ratio, and I need to know n is how many numbers I'm adding. And I'm going to divide this by 1 minus r. So this is the formula I'm going to use if my ratio, the absolute value of my ratio is more than 1. Now, what if my ratio, the absolute value of my ratio is less than 1? Now, for this case, the formula I'm going to use is a little bit easier. The formula I'm going to use is the first number over 1 minus ratio. Now, that's pretty simple. So most of the time, I'm going to use the first formula, right? When the absolute value of my ratio is more than 1. That's the one I'm going to commonly use. So let's take a look at question number 37. Let's find the ratio first. For me to find the ratio, I'm going to choose a number divided by the previous number. So I'm going to say 4 divided by a negative 2. My ratio is negative 2. Right. The absolute value of negative 2 is more than 1. So I'm going to be using the first formula. All right. How am I going to do this? Let's see. First number on my list is a negative 2. Inside of parentheses, let me go 1 minus, let me use a negative 2 to the 6. Notice how I have 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus a -2. 1 minus the ratio. Now let me change this to black so we don't get confused on our work. Let me work the inside first. The inside of my parentheses. I mean this parentheses right here. So I have a -2 on the outside. I'm not going to worry about that yet. And I know I have to do the exponent first. -2 to the 6 is a 64. So I have 1 minus 64 over 3. Right, the bottom I can easily simplify. 1 minus a -2 is 3. Right, two negative signs make a plus sign. So, all right. So how am I going to do this? Do the parentheses first. 1 minus 64 gives us the -63 times a -2, right? Because I have a -2. I'm not working on that. Inside parentheses, I have a -63. And at the bottom, I have a 3. Notice I did the parentheses first. Now, -63 times -2 divided by 3 gives me 42. That's it. Let's take a look at question number 38. Let me find my ratio first. I'm going to choose a number from the list divided by the previous number. -12 divided by -3, it gives me it's 4. Now, the absolute value of my ratio is more than 1, so I'm going to use the first formula. I remember the first formula. I started with the first number on the list, which in this case is a -3. Inside parentheses, I have 1 minus r to the n. So I'm going to say 4 to the 9th. Right, my ratio is 4, and the number of numbers that I'm adding is 9. So 4 to the 9th over, I have to do 1 minus r. So 1 minus 4. All right, let me worry about the parentheses first. All right, 1 minus 4 to the 9th. Remember, you got to do 4 to the 9th first. Use a calculator if necessary. Now, 4 to the 9th is 262,144. So I have -3 on the outside. 1 minus 262,144 all over the -3. All right. When I do this, it gives me -262,143. That's my answer. Make sure you guys use the formulas. Those are the formulas. Let me zoom out. How you guys can see what we did today. If you have any questions, you know where to find me.